It's just my fucking luck to get sick right before I gotta film the prediction video. My first one. So poetic. But we're gonna get through this together. Okay? Alright, so UFC 324. Gaethje versus Pimblett. We've been waiting 6 weeks for this. So let's go to the first fight on the card. Right here. Um, there are some canceled ones. So Kayla Harrison crossed Buster Rhymes, and she's out probably till the White House card. Um, Natalia Silva, she's subbing in for Alexa Grasso, pulled out. And Cameron Smotherman died, so the Ricky Tiki Tercios bout is off. But now, first fight of the night. Adam Fugit about it takes on Ty Miller. Now, Adam Fugit, he's 10-5. Three losses in the UFC. They're not bad losses by any means. Like number two, Michael Morales. Um, Mike Mallet, who's almost ranked, and Islam Dulatov, who's a model and a good prospect, but he just doesn't look very impressive. Ty Miller, he had a good performance on the Contender Series, so I'm gonna go with Ty Miller by decision. All right, the next one. It's Josh Hokit Pokit taking on Denzel the Abolition Man Freeman. Um, I'm kind of annoyed they're putting two prospects like this so early on fighting each other because it's like you could have had them fight a couple, each of them fight a jobber, some fat blob, and then match them up after that once they got a couple wins. But I guess it's not like too important. But look at their last fights; they're pretty solid. Uh, Denzel, he's more of a blob, and I don't think he's quite as high level as Josh Hokit. Well, not really high level. Josh Hokit, I think he has more tools to win. Um, We'll go with Josh Hokit by decision. All right, next one. Oh, that's the wrong button. All right, we get Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. Now, I love watching Michael Johnson fight because he's either going to get flatlined in a very funny way. Jesus Christ, he's 25-19. Oh, whew, that's not very good. And yeah, he's got fast hands. He hits really hard, so you can never really count him out. But you can never really count him in either because he's coming off a couple of good wins. He beat Daniel Zellhuber, who's a he's a fun fighter there, but not too impressive. Is Daniel Zellhuber, at least in that fight? He was just kind of sparring at range, but he did knock out that what's his name, the fucking potato guy. I don't remember his name. It was it doesn't matter, but he knocked him out. He was very satisfying. But Alexander Hernandez, he's gone on quite a roll. After losing to he lost to David Jackson not too long ago, but he's been a pretty good win streak. Kurt Hollabar, um, there was someone before that, and then of course knocking out Chase Poopa Scooper Hooper, and then knocking out Carlos Diego Ferreira a month after that. So that's pretty good. I think he's finally hitting his stride. He's in his prime. Yeah, a little late, but I think he's gonna get ranked. Probably maybe not after this win, but he'll probably fight someone for ranking after that. And I think Alexander did is pretty good. So I'm gonna go second round TK. I'll do second round knockout by Alexander Hernandez. That's with the early prelims. We go to the main prelims. Opening up, we have Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. That stupid ass haircut. I'm a big fan of Charles Johnson. Um, I like him. I like watching him fight. Sometimes he lets you get away from him, but he's got really good wins like Joshua Van and Lona Kavanaugh's going to be something in the future. I just know it. But he hasn't been able to really make it that far in the division, which is kind of annoying. But Alex Perez, he doesn't have he's like 1-5 in his. Also, he's either 1-5 or 1-6 in his last 6 or 7. Because he lost to Aslam Mobayev, November after being out for a while injured. Then before that, tore his ACL or whatever against Tatsuya Taira, which isn't a bad. A lot of his losses have aged very well. Before that, he knocked out Matej Nicolau, which I think did he retire or did he get cut? One of those. And then before that, lost to Bakayev, competitive fight. Lost to Pantoja. I believe that's how Pantoja got his title shot. And then before that was the title fight against Figgy, which he lost. So, a lot of his losses are just high level guys. So, but Aslam Abayev, not so much. But he is pretty good, so we'll see how that turns out. But, he's getting old. I just don't think he's at the level where he's like gonna beat a guy like Charles Johnson, he's very hit or miss, but I think he's finally doing well, and I think he has a lot of motivation to win this because he beat Joshua Van, knocked him out cold. That's gonna be age very well for him because he's the champion. So if he wins this, then there are big things coming for Charles Johnson. The interruption is gone. So I will pick Charles Johnson by I'll go decision. I don't see him finishing Alex Perez. Um, he seems like he's more susceptible to submissions than knockouts, and yeah, I don't think he's gonna get finished. I think Alex Perez still has some life left back in a flyweight. So, alright, next fight. Oh boy, you got Nikita Krylov takes on Modestus Bukaki. Now this one's a bit tricky because the Nikita Krylov he's very good, but he has no chin, and that's a problem because it's like, does he have no chin because he got knocked out by Dominic Reyes and Bogdan Guskov, who hit pretty hard, or does he have no chin because he just has no chin and he's gonna get knocked out by anybody who hits him hard? Now with this Bukakis, he's on a bit of a career resurgence. He did lose to Jimmy Crute though, and it's hard to pick someone who lost to Jimmy Crute, but Jimmy Crute's improved a bit. But that was a while ago though, so it's like he's improved a lot. His striking seems to be better. Krylov is still a tricky customer though, and I really want to pick Krylov, but I just can't pick a guy who gets folded about as bad as Johnny Walker. I'm gonna go with Modestus Bukakis. I don't know, let's say round 2 TKO. Modi B. Alright, next fight. Oh boy, it's a murder. Looking at Artema Gaethje versus Andre Pulaev. And I'm picking number 1 prospect, Andre Pulaev. No. It's Artema Gaethje. He's gonna kill him. He's gonna murder him. It's gonna be tragic. He's less of a victim than his other opponents, but Pulaev, he's just not like, he's not. Gautier he has weapons of mass destruction, and Pulaev, he's just not elite enough to like kind of evade that and get rid of him at range. And maybe his grappling, he's able to pull that off and do some good stuff with that, but his track record just doesn't really give much to behold. So I'm gonna go Taper Gautier. I'll go round 1 knockout. Next fight, main event to the prelims. We have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davy, son of David Figueiredo. Now, this is now sometimes you get a feeling, and I have that feeling that David Figueiredo is gonna knock out Umar Nurmagomedov randomly in like round 3. But I'm a smart man. I'm not gonna choose based on some random feeling. So I'm gonna have to go with Umar Nurmagomedov because you look at his performances, and Mario Batista one wasn't that bad. I mean, wasn't that good, but Mario Batista, he's actually pretty solid. Well, Davis Figueiredo had a stinker against Martel Jackson, and before that, the Sandhagen fight, he got injured immediately and just flopped to the ground. So that's not a good look. He's also old, missed weight, bad look. Umar, close fight with Murad. And I think that's all you really got to say about it. It's a 3-rounder, so it's not like he's gonna gas or anything. So I'm gonna pick Umar Nurmagomedov via decision. Though it'd be really funny if he gets knocked out. All right, and that's with the prelims. On to the main card. We have Jean Silva taking on Arnold Allen. Now, it's the battle of the autism. You have like high functioning autism, Arnold Allen, versus get away from me, you disgusting freak autism with Jeet Silva. And unfortunately, it's not really unfortunate because I do watch him fight, but he is a fucking nuisance, and I hate listening to anything he's a part of. But I'll pick Gene Silva. I don't know if I'd set could be a late finish. I could see it happening. Arnold Allen's got kind of a pencil neck there, but I'll probably go with decision for Gene Silva. I think it's going to be a pretty great fight. I don't see it finishing it. I do see him beating him pretty bad though. Probably maybe a 10-8 round in later on, depending on if Arnold Allen's hand breaks like it always does. So, but Arnold Allen, he's very good, very well rounded. It's possible he could grapple him, and I don't know how high level his grappling is. Diego Lopez is a very good grappler, so he's able to punish him with that. So maybe Arnold Allen could take a round off him with it. But I just see the fight going on and then turning to Gene Silva's favor. So Gene Silva via decision, I think. Next fight, Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Easy pick, Natalia Silva. Rose just doesn't really. It's not that she looks bad by any means, but like she just does not look quite elite anymore. She kind of just. It doesn't feel like she's she's kind of coasting, and it's just you got a hungry up and comer, Natalia Silva. She's shown she's like really high level in women's MMA, and her victory over Alexa Grasso is very dominant. I don't see Rose much better than Alexa Grasso, so I think Natalia Silva is going to win a pretty clear decision here. I don't see her knocking her out though. Rose, she's pretty good at cockroaching to a decision, so I'll pick Natalia Silva via decision. That's the filler fight. We go to the feature fight. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derek Lewis. This might be my most anticipated fight of the night because I don't know. I don't really see this going to a decision. I feel like it's going to end in the first round, and there's pretty good big title implications for it. I think the winner's probably going to fight Volkov for the title eliminator, and it's a hard pick because Derek Lewis could just fluke a win after losing the entire first and second round. And, it'll just be hilarious. But Waldo Cortes-Acosta, he's been in pretty good form recently. After that Pavlovich lost, he realized that, he doesn't have to fight like a little bit. He actually has skill, which is pretty good. You don't really see that in heavyweight. So I see him winning this probably first round TKO. It's a pretty difficult one to predict. I have no confidence in my pick for this, but I would go and say Waldo is gonna win. He beat the GOAT, Happy Shamil, the Meal Deal Gaziev. So, it's that's a god tier level win right there. That was his last fight, and he's very active. We like to see active guys, especially heavyweight. We don't have to cut any weight, So I'll go Waldo Cortes-Acosta, round 1 TKO. Right. Co-main event: Sean O'Malley versus Song Yapinis. Yeah, I feel pretty confident picking Sean O'Malley in this one. Like Song Yadong's good. He's very strong, fast, hits hard, but I just don't see where he could give O'Malley problems. Maybe in his grappling, but I don't think his grappling has improved all that much. Because you look at who Sean loses to, the grappling of Piotr Jan, who's the best wrestler in the division. I think he lost the fight, but it was very close. And then both the Marab losses gets out grappled there. Song Yadong's probably not nearly on that same level. So, you just gotta kind of look at their past performances here. And Song Yadong's still young, so he still has plenty of time to improve. But I just don't think he's at that level right now. So I'll probably pick Sean O'Malley, a decision. I don't see him finishing him either. I'm trying to think when Song Yadong was last finished. I think it's been like not even this decade, or like in the 2020s. It's been a while. I know he lost by doctor stoppage to Corey Sandhagen, but I don't. It's not like a real finish. Big cut. He was still fighting on pretty well. So I think it's gonna go Sean O'Malley decision. And last but not least, the main event for the lightweight interim title. You have Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And oh boy, what a fun one we're gonna have. It's very hard to pick because on one hand, Justin Gaethje, who's a very good fighter, always fucking brings a brawl. But then you gotta look at it. He's 37. Yet his past few fights haven't been nearly as well. His last fight against Fiziev wasn't nearly as physical as his previous ones. Not as good as the first fight, and he barely won that based on like a couple of strikes in the third round. And then a year before that, he got knocked out, flatlined by Max Holloway. And it's been a year since he fought, almost 10 months or something. And yeah, because you look at his resume, he's 9-5 in the UFC. That's 9-5 is not very good. I mean, I know it's been against mostly high level guys, but Paddy Pimblett's 7-0, and so I know he's had double the fights, but he barely has more wins, and he tends to lose a lot to grapplers. Because he got submitted by Charles, he got submitted by Habib. I guess that's only really two, but he doesn't. I think Paddy's grappling is really good, and I see him being able to get down Gaethje. I know the Fiziev got him down in their fight, but that was more of a kind of like an unexpected takedown from in an unorthodox technique. So I don't really count that as indicative of his defensive grappling. But I think Paddy's that good at it, even if his strike is a little off. So I can see this being a war for a few rounds, and then maybe Paddy getting a finish. But he's very old, and 9-5. It's just I don't think he has the same grit that he does when he fought Max Holloway. Because after that spinning back kick to the face that broke his nose, it's just. But then Paddy, not a lot of good wins. Michael Chandler's a good win, but he's kind of retarded. So fight IQ, he's lacking there. And Bobby Green, it was kind of not a fluke win, but how he won was kind of fluky because Bobby, I think he was trying to feint a takedown, and he got fucking leg kicked on the way, and so had to dive in for it, or he was probably gonna get pounced on or something, and that was just kind of died out 9 out of 10 times. I don't think it's gonna happen like that, but I do think he beats Bobby Green, and Tony Ferguson, of course he's winning now, out of that UFC, but at the time, he was a not particularly good, especially since he took him to a decision, and fucking Bobby Green finished him, and then I think Michael Chiesa finished him afterwards, and it's just for someone to have a high level grappling like that, it is a bit shifty, but I think the Chandler performance is a bit more indicative of his current skill level, and he had a bit of trouble on the feet there, because everybody tends to have some trouble with Chandler, but got him. Actually, wait, how did he get down? I think it was a scramble after Chandler picked him up or something. Then he just beat the shit out of him, TKO'd him on the ground, so that's pretty good. I don't think it's gonna happen like that with Gaethje because he doesn't, pick you up like that. But I could see Paddy going for a takedown against the cage, and Gaethje going down and then getting his back taken, getting submitted. It just you got to look at the storyline as well. Paddy, he's kind of got everything going for him right now, so I think things are just gonna fall into place. And I think Paddy's gonna win. I don't know about a finish. I think he'll probably win a 48-47 decision. I think it's gonna be a pretty damn good fight. I think he's gonna. I don't know. Striking. Yeah, I think 48-47 decision to Paddy Pimblett. I don't think his striking's gonna be bad. I think it's gonna be significantly improved. And I think his takedowns. I think he's gonna get takedowns. So Paddy Pimblett by decision. And that's the last fight of the card. So I think it starts in like 3.5 hours. So I gotta like maybe nap or something. I don't know. And I upload this. That's the important part. So, that is all.